Hello, this is Joe Welinske. I'm the program manager for ConveyUX, our UX conference, annual conference coming up for the fifth annual year in Seattle. That'll be February 28th through March 2nd. And I'm fortunate to have the opportunity to preview a lot of the sessions with the speakers that will be there with us. And so right now we're speaking with Jason Cowsill. Hello, Jason. How are you?
Hi, Joe. I'm doing great. Excited to be part of this.
Well, where are you speaking to us from today?
I'm in Eugene, Oregon. So south of you guys, not quite as rainy, but rainier than south of me.
All right. Well, I know a little bit about you, but why don't you just talk a little bit about your background and the things that you usually work on?
Sure. I currently work for a company here, software design company called Concentric Sky. I've been with Concentric Sky for 10 years now. I'm the director of user experience here. And I've been in this field. I grew up with this field. So I went to a high school for the arts as a visual artist. I went to the Academy of Art College in San Francisco as a visual artist. And midway through that, I switched over to digital media. And it was in the early 90s, so I kind of was growing up with the internet. I did print design and stuff like that for years. And as clientele started to need these things called websites, I moved right into that. And so I've been doing that since the mid-90s and have grown with it. These days, in the last number of years, I've focused predominantly on user experience, but I've had experience doing front-end coding, some back-end coding, design work, user interface. I work predominantly these days in not only healthcare, which I'll be talking about at Convey, but also ed tech, working with companies like Cengage Learning, MacArthur Foundation, LR&G, and have done stuff for NASA. We've done some wonderful work at Concentric Sky.
Well, you mentioned healthcare, and we'll talk a little bit about your session in a minute, but maybe do you have any thoughts that you could share just, how healthcare and UX kind of fit together, if you see it as some specific skill sets related to that, or it's just applying what we're familiar with already to a specialized domain?
It's a little bit of both. It's the same stuff we've always done as UXers, empathy. We're speaking for the user, and we're holding them up as what we're marking everything toward. Healthcare is just now moving into this field. We've seen things happen to hospitality and travel, Uber, Airbnb. These are changing the world right now. Healthcare has yet to have that linchpin in terms of the user's experience. We still are treating a lot of healthcare as transactions as opposed to interactions. And as we get into the Internet of Things, and specifically the medical Internet of Things with connected devices, connected interfaces, if you look at ambulances now, fire and rescue, first responders, iPads are on every truck. They have yet to be utilized to the degree that other things are starting to see realized. The connectivity, trying to think of specifics. If you look at the healthcare in terms of just consumer applications, Fitbit, health monitoring, and health tracking, we're starting to see a trend where people are taking personal responsibilities for their own healthcare. And the medical community is responding to that by creating more of a relationship with the patients. We're starting to see phrases like patient experience, PX, which is, of course, UX, but it's for a specific industry.
Well, that's also going to be the topic area that you're going to be talking about at the conference. So that'll be one of our breakout sessions that we'll be having during the 3-day event here in Seattle. So maybe talk a little bit about what some of the things that people can expect to get out of that session.
Sure. I'm going to roll back briefly. When you were asking about my background, I realized I glazed over it and talked about the UX, but I spent, prior to Concentric Sky, where I've been, as I said, for 10 years, I spent 10 years in the healthcare industry, specifically working with MSOs and medical groups doing technology work. So not only the print collaterals for education, but I was working on the first intranets. I worked on a product called Numetica that was a startup, I want to say 94, which was a touch interface templating device for medical records, which today we kind of go, oh yeah, touch interface, great. But this was few years before the iPhone, the first iPhone came out. So I just wanted to touch on that, that my healthcare background is as extensive as my UX background. In terms of what we'll be talking about, it's only a 45-minute session, so we're gonna do the Cliff Note version and deep dive maybe into one or two topics, but not too many. It'll be a surface introduction, which will be wonderful, I think, to get flavors out there. But predominantly, we're going to start, we'll look at where healthcare tech has been in recent years and where it's headed, where it is now, and where the opportunities are. There's so many challenges right now because we're learning about this. The medical community with connected devices was actually one of the first to introduce these ideas, MRIs, things like this. We're always connected in the way that we're connecting everything these days, but the interfaces required manuals. It wasn't user-friendly. It was very difficult and arduous to use. So we're starting to see the need now as consumers and people are starting to use these systems and interface with them for the stuff we do. So we'll be looking at some of that stuff. We'll be walking through a few projects. Again, only 45 minutes, so we can't go through everything. But I've got two interesting projects that I've worked on. One is an EMR templating system for iPad specifically that's used for patient record management, essentially, from doctors in the patient's office. The other one that we're looking at is a project I'm currently working with, which is an in-field reporting solution for first responders, fire and rescue. And so they're both very interesting. Both are tablet-based. Both are connected. And they're very different audiences, though, from a user experience point of view. I think it's kind of fascinating. One, we're dealing with the doctor's office with plans, scheduled meetings and appointments, and calmness. And the other is first responders that are responding to emergencies, and they're using the same kind of interfaces, but they have to be designed differently because of the situations.
Well, it sounds like you got quite a lot of projects that you could possibly be talking with us at the conference. So
yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to having you here in Seattle, and I'm sure the other people will enjoy your session as well. So thanks for participating in this today.
Thanks for having me, Joe. Really looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you.